In today's world, control is treated like a form of currency. We try to control our schedules, our relationships, our emotions, even the future itself. Yet the more control we chase, the more chaotic life seems to become. Taoism steps into this modern confusion with a perspective that defies conventional thinking. It invites us to examine not how to gain more control, but how to let go of it. Lao Tzu's teachings present a form of governance that sharply contrasts with modern political and social structures. He proposes the concept of ruling by not ruling, based on the idea that excessive control leads to negative outcomes. When leaders tighten their grip too much, trust erodes, resentment grows, and rebellion becomes inevitable. Taoism views control not as a solution, but as the root of many societal problems. This philosophy extends far beyond political leadership. It also addresses how we govern our own lives. Taoism emphasizes a state of unobtrusive guidance, allowing things to unfold naturally instead of forcing outcomes. A leader who remains humble, honest, and calm creates space for others to develop organically. Harmony, according to Taoist thought, emerges not from control but from alignment with the natural flow of life. For individuals, this means releasing the urge to micromanage every detail. Life often becomes heavy when we try to dictate every outcome. By letting go, we create breathing room for growth. We allow ourselves to adapt, evolve, and learn without the pressure of rigid expectations. In this sense, Taoism reframes strength. It is not the forceful imposition of will, but the quiet wisdom of following the natural order. Taoism, therefore, begins with a simple but transformative question. What might happen if you stopped forcing life and started flowing with it instead? Deep bass, clear rhythm, mystical spiritual style. Taoism teaches that the best governance resembles the work of a gentle gardener. Instead of controlling every detail, the gardener supports the environment so that growth happens naturally. Lao Tzu believed that when a leader becomes invisible, unobtrusive yet present, people flourish. His philosophy challenges the modern belief that more control equals better results. This idea applies powerfully to self-governance. Many of us try to shape ourselves according to strict expectations, career milestones, personal timelines, social roles, or emotional standards. However, the more we force ourselves into rigid molds, the more pressure and dissatisfaction we create. Taoism encourages us to loosen this grip, trust the process, and allow our inner nature to reveal itself gradually. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means understanding that harmony arises when we stop resisting the natural rhythm of life. When we act from a place of authenticity instead of control, we become more adaptable, intuitive, and resilient. Taoism suggests that personal growth is most effective when it happens gently, without force, just as water shapes rock not through violence, but through steady flow. This principle of non-interference supports healthier lives and communities. Just as excessive control from leaders fractures societies, excessive control over oneself fractures inner balance. Taoism teaches that growth isn't something we can command, it is something we must allow. When we let go of rigid expectations, we create space for transformation. We reconnect with our natural essence, which is often hidden beneath obligations, fears, and social conditioning. Taoist wisdom reminds us that real power lies not in domination, but in alignment, moving with the current rather than fighting against it.
In the realm of spiritual awakening, Taoism provides one of its most profound teachings. Freedom begins when we release labels. Human beings are quick to define themselves by career, status, personality, achievements, failures, or beliefs. These labels offer temporary comfort, but they also limit us. They become walls that confine our identity and restrict our spiritual expansion. Taoism argues that labels are products of the ego. The ego craves certainty, recognition, and separation. It seeks to say, "This is who I am," and "This is who I am not." But spiritual awakening requires us to go beyond these boundaries. Taoism reminds us that our true nature is vast, fluid, and interconnected with everything around us. When we cling to labels, we prevent ourselves from seeing the bigger picture. We begin to operate within narrow definitions, judging ourselves and others based on artificial categories. Taoism encourages the dismantling of these constructs. By letting go of identity-based labels, we remove the ego's need for constant validation. This process opens the door to a more expansive consciousness, one that sees unity rather than separation, flow rather than rigidity. Taoism teaches us that within each person exists boundless potential, but it can only emerge when we stop confining ourselves to self-imposed definitions. Spiritual awakening is not about becoming something new. It is about uncovering what has always been there beneath the layers of labels. When we release the heavy armor of identity, we begin to experience life directly, not filtered through ego, but through awareness. Taoism invites us to embrace this freedom, reminding us that the self is not a fixed concept, but a living, evolving essence. Through letting go, we rediscover our place within the great interconnected whole.
Life moves in cycles, high and low, light and darkness, yin and yang. Everything exists in duality and constant motion. Taoism teaches that change is the fundamental nature of reality. Yet humans often resist it. We cling to stability, routine, and familiarity, believing these things will protect us. But resistance to change only leads to rigidity and emotional struggle. Taoism encourages us to treat change not as an enemy, but as a companion. When we accept the natural ebb and flow of life, We develop a sense of inner harmony. Just as the seasons shift without effort, life transitions are meant to be embraced rather than fought. The river that flows around the rock continues its journey. The tree that bends with the wind survives the storm. This mindset extends beyond external circumstances. Societal expectations often push individuals to resist their true nature, to act against their inherent tendencies in order to fit in. Taoism teaches the opposite. Align with your natural attributes instead of suppressing them. Personal peace emerges when we stop battling what we are and start accepting who we are. Taoism also warns that resisting change is far more draining than adapting to it. Embracing change doesn't mean being reckless, it means being flexible. Life's transformations become opportunities for growth rather than threats to stability. By flowing with the shifting currents, we discover resilience. This acceptance teaches us to see change as part of the larger pattern of existence. Every rise is followed by a fall, and every ending leads to a new beginning. Instead of holding on to one phase of life, Taoism encourages us to move gracefully with the rhythm of opposites. When we stop resisting, life becomes lighter. We navigate transitions with ease, trusting that change is not chaos, but the universe's way of guiding us forward.
One of Taoism's most practical teachings concerns the concepts of usefulness, utility, and excess. In modern society, people often define value through productivity, status, and accumulation. But Taoism challenges this mindset. It reminds us that what is useful in one context may be useless in another, and that rigid distinctions only limit our understanding. Taoism encourages us to stop chasing extremes. The pursuit of high status, wealth, and recognition can be exhausting. Being at the top of the tree may seem prestigious, but it also means facing the strongest winds. On the other hand, intentionally placing oneself at the absolute bottom, rejecting all comfort or success, is simply another attachment disguised as humility. The Taoist path lies in balance. It invites us to examine our needs honestly and distinguish between what is essential and what is merely desired. Excessive possessions, expectations, and ambitions create unnecessary burdens. Instead of improving life, they often intensify stress and disconnection. Epicurus echoed a similar idea. The essentials of life are simple, and happiness often comes from moderation. Taoism aligns with this thinking, advocating for a life free from the weight of excess, not devoid of comfort, but guided by clarity. Letting go of excess does not mean rejecting success. Instead, it means pursuing goals mindfully, without letting them consume us. When we stop measuring our worth through external achievements, we regain inner peace. Taoism invites us to reassess our priorities and cultivate a lifestyle that supports long-term harmony rather than short-term satisfaction. True fulfillment arises not from having more, but from needing less. The Taoist principle of Wu Wei, often translated as non-doing, is one of the most misunderstood ideas in philosophy. It does not mean inaction or laziness. It means aligning action with the natural flow of life. It means knowing when to act and when to step back. Wu Wei teaches that excessive effort disrupts harmony, while effortless action brings clarity and effectiveness. In modern life, many people attempt to control everything: outcomes, timelines, relationships, even emotions. Taoism acknowledges that a certain amount of control is necessary, but warns that too much control causes imbalance. Wu Wei invites us to recognize the limits of our influence and trust the unfolding of events. Another central Taoist insight is the importance of living in the present moment. Many people fixate on future goals, hoping that success or achievement will bring happiness. But this fixation breeds anxiety and weakens our ability to perform. The archer who focuses too much on the prize loses accuracy. The same is true in life. When we become fully absorbed in the present, we enter a state of flow, where our best qualities naturally emerge. Taoism teaches that constantly chasing the future leads to dissatisfaction, because fulfillment is temporary. True contentment is found by appreciating what exists now: the simplicity of breath, the beauty of small moments, the strength within the present. When we stop searching outward, we begin to find peace inward. By embracing Wu Wei, focusing on the present, and letting go of obsessive desire, we cultivate a life of ease rather than struggle. Taoism reminds us that the deepest happiness is not in striving for what lies ahead, but in fully experiencing what is here today. If this message resonates with you, consider sharing it with someone who might appreciate it. And feel free to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Until next time,